Okay, a very good morning to all of you and a very happy Soil Health Day that's going to be tomorrow. Uh, Thank you, Dr. Kohli, for giving me this opportunity to present this offbeat presentation. Why are the posters actually present better than the oral presentations? Now, this is quite debatable. We have seen over the time that over a time that most of the oral sessions are taken up by leads and keynote lectures only. For the regular oral presentations, most of the time is less than 10 minutes and sometimes even less than 5 minutes. And the chairman is like saying, okay, yaar, bahut ho gaya, ab seedha conclusion pe aa jao after the first introduction slide. So you see, there's not enough time for discussions. Forget about presenting your work. There's no interaction between the presenter and the audience. So, and another thing is that one size fits all. So if you enter a hall, a 2-hour oral session, you have to sit through the entire presentations to wait for the one presentation that you might be interested in. So that might be sandwiched between the not so interesting ones. But on the other hand, why the posters are present, there's ample time in the poster session. We usually have poster sessions anywhere between 1.5 hours to 2.5 hours in every conference and under almost every theme. So when you have a program, you can choose what interests you the most. That way you don't have to wait for someone to start the proceedings, someone to wait there front. You can directly go to the poster which you have selected. And this also brings a very important thing that there's one-to-one communication between the poster presenter and the listener. So posters also bring you a very good feedback on the work you are doing and the work others are doing and what really needs to be improved in them and what is commendable about them. So there's a different shapes and sizes of postal hordes of posters. Once you walk into the poster session, you'll see that numerous posters are there, different sizes. There's no one single size for them, differently made, a lot of text in most of those posters. But that is where your poster needs to stand out. People will just walk by your poster without even looking at them. But the main purpose of you being there, presenting your work, is to not only communicate the research you have done, but also to do social networking also. This is very important because conferences are not only about social, about your scientific intervention and other things. This is also a way of getting to know each other and getting to know each other, people that are working on the same things that you are doing. And also. So I myself spend a lot of time in the poster sessions because of the things I just told you now. I engage with presenters in my field. So my experience during the last 15 to 20 years, I've been a young researcher myself and have made many bad posters myself also. So my experience is that most of the posters that are put up are really flawed or either overwhelming. Flawed in the sense that their direction, they don't have any direction, or they're having too much of material in them. So one of the common things that is seen is the legibility. Most of the posters are very hard to read. The flow of information is not good. There's too much information on one single poster that is not required at all. And almost sometimes all of the manuscript is there. So we, as a poster presenter, don't want to overwhelm our audience. Just like a good small abstract that is there, that is a visual abstract that we are presenting. So how do you start with the posters? We don't directly start with the posters on the poster template itself. So first, what you need to do is, you have already submitted your abstract. It is accepted for poster presentation. Now you go back to what the abstract was and select the material for your posters. You will be having numerous tables, graphs, figures, and loads of text. For example, a young student who has just finished his PhD program will be having entire thesis to his disposal, but that is something we cannot put on the poster itself. There will be numerous figures, graphs. So what you need to do is you have to choose the right amount of information for your graph. So a thesis with numerous pages, and we all know that theses are That's a story for another day, because theses themselves are so vaguely written and there's so much pages filled up that can be squeezed in much lesser way. So that first has to be squeezed in a smaller, say in a poster, and then they have to further squeezed for a poster. So it is a tremendous task to reducing the size of your manuscripts, but this we must, and we have to visualize the layout, how we are going to put it in a better way. So first we have to select the material. So you have already made an abstract. If your abstract is good, half the work is done. So create a gist of what you are going to present. Don't go for a poster template in the first go. You start with a word processor like a Microsoft Word or something like that. Then you carefully select the most relevant text material and shorten it. Never exceed 400 words in a poster. This might seem very little, but anything beyond that is really bad how a poster will look. So 400 words, never exceed that. The lesser, the better. It shouldn't like be a wall of text, because nobody is ever going to read all those texts. It is what you are going to tell them that they'll be listening. And if there is less text on the poster, then there'll be more time for you to interact with the individuals. Then another thing to do is avoid tables. Use it only if it is absolutely necessary. It's much better to represent your trends, your research in a graphical manner, maybe line graphs, bar graphs, different type of graphs, or figures and images. You may be having numerous graphs and images with you, but no, you should never exceed 4. Make it a thumb rule: 4 important figures or graphs in result and discussion. You should never exceed those. Numerous figures and graphs will make the one who is asking you or want to interact you, I mean, he can be quite nervous. He doesn't know what to ask and what to interact with. Neither you'll be able to convey what you want to say. Then, of course, this is pretty common. We all know very well what should be the headings. So we start with the introduction. And of course, there are many posters I've seen that they have an abstract in the beginning. So please never put an abstract in the poster. The poster itself is an abstract of your work. So you start with the introduction, no abstracts in the poster. So introduction, few points only, a small background, statement of the problem, and then you come to the objectives. If you don't want to make a separate objectives heading, then you should have a distinct objective within the introduction, but it should be very clear and different from the rest of the introduction, so that the pupil or someone who is looking at your poster knows what you actually intend to do. Then, of course, methodology. This is also very important part, but should not take up much space. It should be very limited. If it is in a matter of a flow chart, it is still better, because if someone is more interested in the methodology you have followed, they will actually ask you about how you have done that program. So that is it. And when it comes to results, so figures and images should be the main thing. Text should be minimal. We should focus only on figures and images. And then, of course, conclusion, 2 to 3 very crisp statements about what are your findings should be presented in this section. And then, of course, acknowledgement and reference should be there. Then comes the, once you have shortened everything and you have made you have collected your figures, shortened the text, and you're ready to go into the template of the poster presentation, the first thing that you need to choose is the software. Earlier, we used to make posters in CorelDRAW or even Photoshop. Now, these are very overwhelming type of softwares. Most of the people don't know about them. So that is one thing you should avoid. The most commonly used PowerPoint presentation is the template that you need to go for. Most people may not be aware. Of course, nowadays everyone is going for that. And there are numerous sites where you can download these templates for poster presentation. Now, once you have selected your software, the next thing to do is select the size of your poster. And this is very important. You should read the conference guidelines, whether they are in the portrait mode or whether they are landscape mode. What is the size of the posters? Many times you see half the poster is hanging below the board, or overflowing on the other side of the board. So this is very, very important. Always read the guidelines of the conference. So whether they want it 80 centimeter by 100 centimeter in portrait way or in on landscape. So this is very important. And then to do that in a PowerPoint, you should go to the design tab and select the slide size. Most of the sizes are there. You can select that. And then the next thing you need to do is select a color scheme. You can see an example on the right side, which says, I want to burn your retina. So this is the type of scheme that we should not follow at all. So select a color scheme, always go for lighter shades on the back. So it should be a lighter negative space and darker foregrounds. So this is, if you don't know much about color matching and all those, this is the best way. Leave it white and then go for black on the front. And minor light colors can be used here and there to highlight the things. Now the next thing to do is take your material to the poster. Once you have finalized your size of the poster and the color scheme. So one thing here is avoid any cluttering at all. So you can see the examples on our right side. These are how most posters look like. On the top, you have two landscapes, and below we have the portrait mode. So the most effective way of presenting is that you take the ones on the right side. If it is a landscape mode, you must have 3 columns, avoid 2 columns. This may not be very effective. So 3 columns. If you have a portrait mode poster, not in single columns, it should be in 2 columns to be clear. So it should not be cluttery. So do not try to fit up everything forcefully. Try to remember those things, maybe jot down on a paper if you have to, but keep it clean, and more negative space should be there. At least 40 to 50% backspace should be visible. Negative space means what is the background. Use distinct headings. That should be very, very clear. Highlight major findings. Then at least one eye-catching visual should be there. I mean, something that is very, very important from the point of view of your research, which is your primary output. That visual should be very, very clear and should be the centerpiece of your presentation. And that is something apart from your title, which is going to attract individuals towards your poster. Now, once you have done all those, selected your figures, images, and everything, one of the most important things in a poster is a text, and that is what ruins the poster most of the time. And this becomes very, very important. Text should be minimal, as I already told you, never exceeding 400 words. And I kindly please mute your mic. Minimal and always in bullet points. Nobody is going to read your paragraphs. It should be very, very crisp, only in bullet points. It should be legible. That means it should be readable from a distance of at least 5 to 6 feet. I'm talking about the body of the poster. So you can see, if you can't make out how it will look, you can just zoom to 100% in the PowerPoint and then stand back a few notches back, around 5 to 6 feet from your screen, and then you see whether it is visible to you or not. So because no one is going to bring a magnifying glass if you have very, very small text. So I would recommend between 30 to 34 font size for general body, but most of the templates that are available online will have 24 to 26. But my personal recommendation is go for 30 to 34, reduce the amount of text. So you can see titles, authors, affiliations, headings. So title should be somewhere around 70, authors 50, affiliations 40, heading should be around 36, and the normal body around 30. Acknowledgement and references can be small because they are not something people are going to see, but they should be there. Acknowledgement is very, very important. So we should prefer mostly Times New Roman because it's easier to read from a distance. And of course, no Comic Sans ever. These type of fonts should be strictly avoided while making a poster. And then once your poster is ready, so you are going for a print. So before you print the poster, I'll advise that you take an A4 print of your poster in your office itself, check it, have a second opinion about it, discuss with your co-authors, then recheck it. Once you have finalized everything, your errors, typographical errors, everything, only then you go for exporting it to PDF. Confirm the size with the printer. This is very important because even if we make a large poster in a PowerPoint, when we export it to PDF, if the PDF is exported to A4 size, the print quality will be very, very bad. So you have to make sure the PDF export is in actual size. Then you have to go for the print. Go for quality print always. Avoid billboard quality printing because the billboards are made to be seen from a very large distance. Here people will be very, very close to the poster. So it has to be very, very clear, mostly going for digital printing. And of course, earlier I would recommend that you should bring along a few A4 prints of what you are presenting so that if someone is interested can take it away. But of course, nowadays we can just take a snapshot of those posters. So that is okay. On the left, I think I'll ignore it in the first go itself. There's so much text, so many figures, so many photographs. It's almost like an entire manuscript shoved into one single poster. On the other hand, if we see a very simple poster, very clear, lot of free space, photographs, and very minimal text, and it grabs your attention. You may be having the best research, but if you make a poster like the one on the left, no one is going to read it, and it's not going to make any impact on anyone. So in the end, I would like to say this was only a brief about how to make an effective poster, but this goes without saying that you should make yourself presentable, keep a smile on your face, and be very polite to your audiences. And always remember to mention the sources like I have done in this one presentation, because I've taken my material from different sources on the internet. So thank you very much. So this was made in a very short time, and I would love to get a feedback because this is an ever evolving process. So thank you.